I'm a rideshare driver in Seattle, and last Tuesday night changed my life forever. At 9:47 p.m., a woman named Sienna Reeves got into my car, clutching a phone that wasn't hers. When I asked about the text message glowing on its screen that said, "Don't go home tonight," she went pale and whispered something that made my blood run cold. By midnight, you'll understand why I can't go back. 2 hours later, Detective Morrison was calling me from her apartment, and what he told me about my passenger made me realize I'd been driving with someone whose entire life was about to shatter. Tuesday nights were usually my quiet shifts. Fewer drunk passengers, better tips, and time to think while cruising through Seattle's rain-soaked streets. I'd been driving for 3 years to pay for nursing school, and after thousands of rides, I thought I'd gotten pretty good at reading people. That skill came from my mother, Dr. Helena Chen, who'd been an ER nurse for 30 years before retiring. Always watch their hands and eyes, she used to tell me when I was growing up. That's where the truth lives. Words can lie, but the body never does. That advice had served me well, especially on late-night shifts when you need to know if a passenger is going to be trouble or just someone trying to get home safe. But nothing my mother taught me could have prepared me for what happened that night. The rain was coming down hard when I pulled up to the Hyatt downtown. Seattle rain has this way of making everything feel like a movie scene, you know? The streetlights creating these perfect reflections on the wet pavement. The sound of water hitting the roof of my Honda Accord. Through my foggy windshield, I saw a woman in a navy blazer standing under the hotel's awning. She was checking her watch repeatedly, shifting her weight from foot to foot. Professional looking, maybe early 30s, but there was something off about her energy. You know that feeling when someone's trying really hard to look normal, but they're actually freaking out inside? That was her. The kind of energy you see in someone who just got terrible news but has to keep it together because they're in public. She spotted my car and hurried over, her heels clicking against the pavement. The doorman rushed forward with an umbrella, but she waved him off and basically dove into my back seat. "Going to Ballard," she said, already pulling the door shut before she was fully settled. Her voice was steady, but her hands definitely weren't. 4427 Meridian Avenue, please." I plugged the address into my GPS and pulled away from the curb. "Rough night? You could say that." She gave this tight little laugh that didn't reach her eyes. "Work thing. Now, after 3 years of driving nights, you learn when someone wants to talk and when they want silence." She was giving off major leave me alone vibes, so I just focused on driving. The rain was really coming down now, making these rivers along the edges of the road. My wipers were working overtime. That's when I noticed she was holding 2 phones. One was clearly hers, in this bright pink case with one of those pop socket things on the back. But there was another phone on her lap, black, no case, and the screen was facing up. Every time we passed under a streetlight, I could see her reflection in my rearview mirror, staring down at that black phone like it might explode. We were stopped at a red light on 45th Street when that black phone suddenly lit up. The notification was bright enough that we both could see it clearly. A text message preview showing on the screen. "Don't go home tonight." I watched her face in the mirror. All the color just drained away. She looked like someone had punched her in the stomach. "Everything okay back there?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. She looked up, met my eyes in the mirror, and I could see she was scared. Really scared. Not the kind of scared you get from a creepy text from an ex or a bad performance review. This was different. This was the kind of scared my mom used to see in the ER when someone knew something was seriously wrong but didn't want to admit it yet. "This phone," she said, holding up the black one. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I found it wedged in the seat when I got in. It's not mine." "Oh, the last passenger must have dropped it. We can turn it in to Uber support or I can drop it at the hotel lost and found." "No!" The force of her response made us both jump. She took a breath, trying to calm herself. "I mean, look at this." She held the phone up so I could see it better in the mirror. There wasn't just one message. There was a whole chain of them, all from the same unknown number. "Don't go home tonight." Sent at 9:15 p.m. "She knows." Sent at 9:22 p.m. "Leave everything and go." Sent at 9:31 p.m. "Midnight deadline." Sent at 9:40 p.m. And we'd picked up the phone at 9:47 p.m. These messages had been coming in just minutes before she got in my car. Quick favor before we continue. If you're finding this story interesting, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love hearing from night shift workers especially. Now, my grandmother, Rose Takahashi, used to say that coincidences were just patterns we hadn't recognized yet. She raised me after my parents divorced when I was 10, and growing up in her house, I learned to pay attention to those patterns. She'd survived a lot in her life by trusting her instincts, and she taught me to do the same. And right now, every instinct I had was going haywire. This wasn't random. This wasn't some stranger's lost phone with weird messages. This was connected to the terrified woman in my back seat somehow. Those messages, Sienna said, and her voice was so quiet, I had to turn the music completely off to hear her. They could be for anyone who found this phone, right? Like maybe someone knew they were going to lose it and wanted to warn whoever picked it up? Maybe, I said, but we both knew that sounded ridiculous. She was quiet for a moment, staring out at the rain. Then she said something that made my skin crawl. My roommate, Vera Hoffman, she's been acting really strange lately. Like really strange. Asking weird questions about my work schedule, when I'll be home, when I leave. She installed new locks on her bedroom door last week. Deadbolts. Who puts deadbolts on an interior door? I pulled over at a Shell gas station. Something about this whole situation was making my inner alarm system go crazy, and I've learned to listen to that feeling. Look, I said, turning around to face her properly. Maybe we should call the police. This is getting weird. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. And say what? I found a phone with creepy messages? They'll think I'm paranoid. They'll think I'm crazy. Then she showed me her own phone, the pink one. The screen was full of missed call notifications. 17 missed calls, all from the same contact, Vera roommate. She never calls me, Sienna said, and now she looked genuinely frightened. Ever. In 4 months of living together, we've never had a single phone conversation. We communicate through sticky notes on the fridge. That's it. She texts sometimes, but never calls. The black phone started ringing. We both stared at it, like it was a snake about to strike. The screen showed unknown number, and it just kept ringing, filling my car with this harsh electronic sound that seemed way too loud. Sienna's finger hovered over the answer button. Don't answer it, I said. This is getting too weird. We should definitely call the police now. But she'd already hit accept and put it on speaker. There was silence for a moment, just the sound of rain hitting my car. Then a woman's voice came through, electronic and distorted, like they were using one of those voice changer things. If you're hearing this, you have Lauren's phone. She's safe now, but whoever lives at 4427 Meridian Avenue won't be after midnight. This is your only warning. The line went dead. Sienna's face just crumbled. All that trying to hold it together was gone. That's my address, she whispered. That's where I live. Is everything okay? I asked, meeting her eyes in the mirror. It was one of those moments where you already know the answer, but you have to ask anyway. Sienna's face had gone completely white, like all the blood had just drained away. This phone, she said, holding it up with shaking hands. I found it wedged between the seats when I got in. It's not mine. I thought maybe the last passenger dropped it, but these messages keep coming in and they're getting worse. We should turn it in to the police station, I suggested, already knowing she was going to refuse. There was something about the way she was gripping that phone, like it was both a lifeline and a live grenade. No. The force of her response startled us both. She softened her voice, trying to regain control. I mean, look, at this. Just look at what it's saying. She held up the phone so I could see the screen better in the rearview mirror, and what I saw made my stomach drop. The message thread was longer than I'd initially realized. It wasn't just those 4 messages. Scrolling up, there were more, going back 3 days. She's watching you. Don't trust the roommate. Check your locks. She's not who she says she is. You're in danger. And then today's messages, getting more urgent, more desperate. Don't go home tonight. She knows. Leave everything and go. Midnight deadline. My grandmother, Rose Takahashi, used to say that coincidences were just patterns we hadn't recognized yet. Growing up in her house after my parents' divorce, I'd learned to trust those patterns, to pay attention when things felt wrong. She'd survived internment camps during World War II by trusting her instincts, and she made sure I knew how to trust mine. Right now, every instinct was screaming that this wasn't random. This woman finding this phone, these messages, the timing of it all. None of it was coincidence. Those messages, Sienna said quietly, her voice barely audible over the rain hammering against the windshield. They could be for anyone who found this phone, right? But my roommate, Vera Hoffman, she's been acting so strange lately. Not just quirky roommate strange, but genuinely concerning strange. She asks these really specific questions about my schedule. When exactly I leave for work, what time I get home, if I'm planning any trips. Last week, she installed new locks on her bedroom door. Deadbolts, multiple ones. Who puts 3 deadbolts on an interior bedroom door? I pulled over at a Shell gas station, the bright lights offering some sense of safety and normalcy in what was becoming an increasingly bizarre situation. How long has she been your roommate? 4 months. She answered my Craigslist ad when my previous roommate moved out. She seemed perfect at first. Great references, stable job, paid 3 months up front. But about a month ago, things started changing. I'd catch her going through my mail. She'd deny it, but I saw her. She started asking to borrow my clothes, but specifically my work clothes. Said we were the same size and she had some important meetings. Then I noticed she'd cut her hair exactly like mine. Dyed it the same color too. She pulled out her own phone, the pink one, and showed me her screen. 17 missed calls from Vera, all within the last hour. She never calls me. Ever. We've lived together for 4 months and we've never had a single phone conversation. We text sometimes, leave notes on the fridge, but she's never once called me. And now, 17 times while I'm out, the black phone buzzed with another message. This time, it was a photo. We both leaned in to look, and what we saw made my blood run cold. It was the inside of an apartment, clearly taken from a hidden position. Through a cracked bedroom door, we could see what looked like a desk covered in documents. The photo was grainy, but we could make out what appeared to be multiple driver's licenses spread across the surface. "Oh my God," Sienna breathed. "That's our apartment. That's Vera's room. I recognize that ugly lamp she bought." That's when the black phone rang. Unknown number. The sound filled my Honda like an alarm, harsh and demanding. Sienna's finger hovered over the answer button, and I could see her internal struggle. Answer and potentially learn more, or ignore it and stay in the dark. "Don't," I said, but she'd already accepted the call and put it on speaker. The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever, just the sound of rain and our breathing. Then a woman's voice came through, electronic and distorted, like someone using a voice changer app. "If you're hearing this, you have Lauren's phone. She's safe now. But whoever lives at 4427 Meridian Avenue won't be after midnight. This is your only warning." The line went dead. Sienna's face crumbled completely, all pretense of holding it together gone. "That's my address," she whispered, her voice breaking. "That's where I live. That's where I was going right now." I made a decision that my brother Marcus, a lawyer who always played everything by the book, would definitely call reckless. But sometimes you have to trust your gut. And my gut was telling me this woman needed help now, not after filing a police report that might take hours to process. "Get in the front seat," I said, putting the car in park. "We're not taking you home. Not until we figure out what's going on." As Sienna climbed over the console, her hands still shaking, I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a contact I rarely called, but always knew I could count on. My uncle, Captain James Takahashi, had been with Seattle PD for 22 years. He'd seen everything this city had to offer, from the mundane to the absolutely bizarre. If anyone would take this seriously without making us feel crazy, it would be Uncle Jimmy. He picked up on the second ring, his voice warm but tired. "Alex, everything okay? It's pretty late for you to be calling. Uncle Jimmy, I need you to listen carefully and not ask questions until I'm done," I said, watching Sienna settle into the passenger seat. She was already on her phone, fingers flying across the screen as she searched for something. "I've got a passenger who found a phone with warnings not to go home. The address they're warning about is her apartment. There are messages about someone named Lauren, and the roommate situation sounds dangerous. I explained everything while pulling back onto the road, heading toward the precinct instead of Ballard. Sienna had her laptop out now, pulled from her work bag, and was typing frantically. The glow from her screen lit up her face, showing a determination that hadn't been there before. Fear was turning into action. Alex, Uncle Jimmy's voice had changed completely, shifting from concerned uncle to serious cop. Did you say Lauren? What's the last name? Sienna looked up from her laptop. I'm searching missing persons reports. There's a Lauren Mitchell, reported missing 3 days ago. She worked at a tech firm in Ballard. Her voice caught. Last seen leaving 4427 Meridian Avenue. That's my building. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a moment. Then Uncle Jimmy spoke quickly and clearly. Lauren Mitchell interviewed for a room rental at that address last week. The landlord confirmed she toured the apartment, but said she decided to take a different place. Alex, both of you need to come to the station immediately. I'm sending units to that address now. But Sienna was already deep into something on her screen, her fingers flying across the keyboard. I'm a data analyst, she said, not looking up from her work. It's what I do for a living, finding patterns in information. And Vera Hoffman doesn't exist before 6 months ago. No social media history, no credit history, no employment records that I can verify. The references she gave me for the apartment were all disconnected numbers when I tried to call them just now. She turned her laptop toward me at a red light, showing me what she'd found. But here's what's really scary. I found 3 other women who answered my Craigslist ad for that room in the past year. Before Vera, I had trouble keeping roommates. They'd stay for a month or 2, then suddenly leave. I thought it was just bad luck, maybe something about me that was difficult to live with. But look at this. The screen showed a series of missing persons reports. 3 women, all in their early 30s, all similar height and build to Sienna, all with dark hair. All had gone missing within 2 months of responding to rental ads in the Ballard area. The black phone buzzed again. Another photo came through, clearer this time. It showed the inside of Vera's room, taken from a different angle. The driver's licenses on the desk were clearly visible now, 4 of them, all different names. But the face was the same on each one. It was Vera's face, but with different hairstyles, different names. Diana Walsh, Rebecca Turner, Nicole Martinez, Vera Hoffman. She's collecting identities. Sienna breathed, her voice barely a whisper. She finds women who look like her, becomes their roommate, studies everything about them, and then she takes over their lives. My phone rang again. Uncle Jimmy. We're at the apartment. No one's here, but we found evidence of someone packing in a hurry. There's hair dye in the bathroom, multiple wigs, and a printer set up for making fake documents. Your passenger needs to stay away from here. We also found something else in the second bedroom, the one that should be Sienna's room. What did you find? I asked, though I was afraid to hear the answer. Surveillance equipment, cameras hidden in everyday objects. She's been watching your passenger's every move, recording her voice, her mannerisms, studying how to become her. There's notebooks full of observations. What time she showers, how she takes her coffee, her phone passwords, even notes about how she walks and gestures when she talks. Sienna had gone very still beside me. When she spoke, her voice was steady but cold. She was planning to replace me. That's why she cut her hair like mine, why she wanted to borrow my work clothes. She wasn't just going to steal my identity. She was going to become me. I looked at the clock on my dashboard. 11:15 p.m. We had 45 minutes until midnight, until whatever deadline that warning was about. Uncle Jimmy, we're coming to the station now, 10 minutes out. Good. I've got Detective Morrison here. He's worked identity theft cases like this before, though nothing quite this elaborate. Stay on main roads, stay in populated areas, and Alex? Good instincts calling me. Your passenger is lucky she found that phone. Lucky she found you. As we drove through the Seattle streets, rain still pounding against the windshield, Sienna finally spoke again. You know what the scariest part is? I complained about Vera to my coworkers, told them she was getting weird, copying me, asking strange questions. Everyone just said I was being paranoid, that roommates sometimes pick up each other's habits. They made me feel like I was overreacting. At exactly 11:55 p.m., my phone rang. The name on the screen made my heart skip. Detective Morrison. He was one of Uncle Jimmy's most trusted colleagues, someone who'd worked identity theft and fraud cases for 15 years. But the timing of this call, 5 minutes before midnight, 5 minutes before whatever deadline we'd been warned about, sent chills down my spine. Alex, I need you to listen very carefully. Detective Morrison's voice was controlled but urgent. Whatever you do, keep Sienna exactly where she is. Do not come to the station. Do not move from your current location. What? Why? Uncle Jimmy said to come straight here. I glanced at Sienna, who was staring at me with growing alarm. I'd pulled into a Safeway parking lot to take the call, and the bright lights of the 24-hour store provided some comfort, but Morrison's tone was destroying any sense of safety we'd built. The woman calling herself Vera Hoffman is actually Diana Walsh. She's wanted in 3 states for identity theft, fraud, and worse. Much worse. He paused, and I could hear papers rustling, urgent voices in the background. But that's not why I'm calling. Alex, I need you to stay calm when I tell you this. We just found the real Sienna Reeves. She's been dead for 2 days. The words hit me like a physical blow. I looked at the woman next to me, the woman I'd been trying to protect, the woman who'd shown such genuine fear and vulnerability. She was staring at me, and something in her expression had changed, or maybe I was just seeing it differently now. The woman with you, Detective Morrison continued, his voice cutting through my shock, is Diana Walsh. She must have killed Vera Hoffman, the woman she was impersonating as a roommate, and taken Sienna's identity next. The phone she found was planted. She's been playing you from the moment she got in your car, creating this elaborate story to explain why she's running, why she can't go home. But the woman next to me was already shaking her head violently, fumbling with her purse, pulling out her wallet with desperate movements. No, no, no. Alex, I'm really Sienna. I can prove it. Look. She spread the contents of her wallet across the dashboard. A Swedish Medical Center employee ID dated from 2019, a gym membership from 2020, family photos that looked worn from handling, a passport issued 10 years ago. My sister Jade works at Swedish Medical Center in the cardiac unit. Call her right now. My employee ID number is 447829. I have a birthmark on my left shoulder blade shaped like a crescent moon. I broke my wrist when I was 12 and you can still see the scar. She was pulling up her sleeve, showing me a faint line across her left wrist, then pulling out her phone, FaceTiming someone. A woman answered immediately, her face worried. Sienna, oh my God, I've been trying to reach you. The police called asking about you and I didn't know what to tell them. Jade, please tell this man who I am. Tell him I'm your sister. Tell him about my birthmark. About when I broke my wrist at your 13th birthday party. The woman on the screen looked confused, but responded immediately. You're my sister Sienna, of course. You fell off the trampoline at my party trying to do a backflip. Mom was so mad. What's going on? Why are the police asking about you? Detective Morrison was still talking in my other ear. We have units surrounding your location. Keep her calm. Keep her talking. Do not let her know we're coming. That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Throughout our entire ride, during every revelation, every scary moment, Sienna had been nervous, shaking, scared. Her hands had trembled. Her voice had cracked. She'd shown every sign of genuine fear. But now, facing an accusation of being a killer, she was oddly calm. Her hands were steady. Her voice was clear. She was handling being accused of murder better than she'd handled finding the phone. Detective, I said slowly, my mind racing through everything that had happened. What if Diana Walsh killed the real Vera, took her place as the roommate, and has been setting up Sienna to take the fall? The missing women, the planted phone, the surveillance equipment in Sienna's room. What if Sienna's telling the truth and Diana is trying to frame her for everything? There was shouting through the phone suddenly. Chaos erupting on the police channel. We've got movement at the apartment. Someone's inside trying to burn evidence. All units respond immediately. Sienna grabbed my arm, her grip tight. It's Diana. She must have been watching, waiting. She knew I'd figure it out eventually, knew I'd go to the police. She's destroying everything that proves she was pretending to be Vera. Without that evidence, it's my word against hers. And she's probably already created a paper trail making me look guilty. Uncle Jimmy's voice cut through on the radio, urgent and breathless. We got her. Suspect in custody. Female, mid-30s, carrying a bag full of fake IDs and personal belongings belonging to Sienna Reeves. Detective Morrison's tone changed completely. Miss Reeves, I apologize. The woman we just arrested had documents suggesting she was Sienna Reeves, including your social security card and birth certificate. She had plane tickets in your name for a flight leaving at 12:45 a.m. tonight. She was going to disappear as you. Sienna collapsed back in the seat, the adrenaline finally leaving her body. The midnight deadline. She was going to run at midnight, leaving enough evidence behind to make it look like I'd killed my roommate and fled. If I'd gone home, if I hadn't found that phone, I would have walked into my apartment and found Vera's body. My fingerprints would have been everywhere. I would have been the obvious suspect. The woman they'd arrested, Diana Walsh, had been living as Vera for 4 months. She'd studied Sienna obsessively, learned every detail of her life, prepared to steal not just her identity, but her entire existence. The real Vera Hoffman had been dead for 3 days, hidden in a storage unit Diana had rented in Sienna's name. The missing woman, Lauren Mitchell, was alive, but had been sold to a trafficking ring. She'd managed to escape and leave the phone in an Uber, hoping someone would find it and understand her desperate warnings. The black phone in Sienna's hand buzzed one last time. A message from the same unknown number. Thank you for listening. Thank you for saving her. She wasn't supposed to survive. 3 weeks later, I was having coffee with the real Sienna Reeves at a small cafe in Fremont, one of those cozy places with exposed brick walls and the smell of freshly roasted beans that makes you want to stay all day. She'd moved in with her sister Jade temporarily, unable to return to an apartment that had become a crime scene, a place where she'd unknowingly lived with someone who'd been planning to erase her from existence. The rain was back, because Seattle wouldn't be Seattle without it, but inside the cafe felt warm and safe. Nothing like that night that had changed both our lives. Lauren Mitchell is alive, Sienna told me, stirring her latte slowly, like she was still processing everything. They found her in Oregon. Diana had sold her information to a trafficking ring, but Lauren's smart. She escaped within hours and left that phone in the Uber, hoping someone would find it and understand the warning. She'd overheard Diana talking about her plans for me, about the midnight timeline. Lauren saved my life without even knowing me. Detective Morrison had called it one of the most elaborate identity theft schemes he'd seen in 15 years on the force. Diana Walsh would find women who looked similar to her, become their roommate, study them for months, then eliminate them and seamlessly step into their lives. She'd done it successfully 3 times before Seattle. 3 women who were now just missing persons cases in other states, their families never knowing that the person who'd comforted them at vigils, who'd helped search for their loved ones, was actually their killer wearing their daughter's face. You know what haunts me? Sienna said, looking up from her coffee. I complained about Vera being weird to my coworkers for months. I told them about the hair, the clothes, the questions. Everyone just said I was being paranoid about having a new roommate, that I was overthinking things. My manager actually told me I should be flattered that she admired my style. If people had taken me seriously, maybe we could have figured it out sooner. My mother, Helena, had insisted on joining us for coffee after hearing the full story. She'd driven up from Tacoma just to meet Sienna, to see for herself that this young woman was okay. Trust your instincts, she said, reaching across the table to squeeze Sienna's hand with that maternal warmth that made everyone feel better. They're your first warning system. The body knows danger before the mind can explain it. The really twisted part, Sienna continued, is that Diana had already started introducing herself as me at places I'd never been. She'd gone to networking events with my business cards, connected with people on LinkedIn as me, even went on a date with someone from a dating app using my photos. She was building a whole parallel life, ready to step into it the moment I was gone. The forensics team had found journals in Diana's real apartment, a place she'd rented under another stolen identity. Pages and pages of observations about Sienna, Notes that went beyond creepy into genuinely terrifying. She'd documented how Sienna held her coffee cup, which hand she used to brush hair behind her ear, the exact way she laughed at different types of jokes. There were voice recordings of Sienna on work calls, practiced repeatedly until Diana could match her tone perfectly. She'd even noted which grocery store Sienna shopped at, what brands she bought, what she ordered at restaurants. "The trial starts next month," Sienna said. "They're charging her with 3 murders, 4 counts of identity theft, and multiple counts of fraud. Diana's real name isn't even Diana Walsh. That was just another stolen identity. They still don't know who she really is. 20 years of fake names, and somewhere under all of that is a person who decided that instead of building her own life, she'd just take other people's." As I drove home that afternoon, thinking about everything that had happened, I couldn't help but reflect on all the passengers I'd carried over 3 years. How many were running from something? How many were running toward danger without knowing it? That black phone now sat in evidence lockup, but its message had saved a life, maybe several lives when you think about Diana's future victims who were spared. Sienna texts me sometimes with updates. She's in therapy, working through the trauma of knowing someone had been planning to erase her existence while making her morning coffee and asking about her day. She found a new apartment with extensive security, cameras she controls, locks she installed herself. Last week, she sent me a message that made me smile. "Took an Uber today. Checked the seats first. Found someone's AirPods. Turned them in immediately. Driver looked at me like I was crazy for checking so thoroughly." We both learned that night that danger doesn't always announce itself with obvious threats or broken windows or threatening letters. Sometimes it makes you coffee in the morning, splits utilities fairly, and waters your plants when you're out of town. Sometimes it asks to borrow your favorite sweater and returns it cleaned and folded. The real terror is in discovering that the person you've shared space with for months has been measuring you for a life they plan to steal, studying you like you're not a person, but just a character they're preparing to play. But we also learned that sometimes a stranger's kindness can save your life. A woman named Lauren, fighting for her own survival, still thought to warn others. An Uber driver who could have just dropped off a passenger and moved on chose to get involved. A police captain who took a weird story seriously instead of dismissing it. These connections between strangers, these moments when we choose to help instead of looking away, they matter more than we realize. If you've made it this far in the story, hit that subscribe button because I share real experiences from my night shifts every week, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, especially if you're a night shift worker yourself. The rain still falls hard on Tuesday nights in Seattle. I still drive those shifts, though I'll admit I'm a lot more observant now. I keep Uncle Jimmy on speed dial, and I pay attention when passengers seem scared, because sometimes they have every reason to be, and sometimes the difference between becoming a headline and becoming a survivor is just one person choosing to listen, choosing to care, choosing to act. That night taught me that we're all just one kind stranger away from rescue or ruin, and I've decided I'd rather be the rescue.